Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anisha and thank you so much for joining me here today. Today I'm going to set up my autumn Equinox TBR for the magical readathon in my reading journal. If you're not already familiar, this is a character creation roleplay style readathon hosted by G from Book Roast. I have already prepared all the materials I'll be needing for today's setup. So first I have all of these templates that I have printed out. Most of them are from the original PDF provided by the host and a few I edited myself. Next I have these washi tapes that I'm planning to use for the setup. Along with that, I'll be using this scrapbook paper. And finally, I have my Ohuhu markers and my Sakura Micron Pigma pens. So that's everything for the materials. Let's get started with the setup. So I'm going to start with the cover page for the setup. So this time I'm placing the cover page in the center of the spread. I know that might sound a little unusual, but it'll make sense in a moment. I'm planning something like a Dutch door or maybe waterfall edges. I'm not sure what exactly to call it, but something along those lines. I tried a similar style in one of my recent book review spread and I really liked it. So I'm recreating that idea here. First, I'm sticking down the washi tapes and the scrapbook paper I showed earlier onto all the pages. I'll be creating my Dutch door out of these pages, but before cutting in, I am adding the tapes and scrapbook paper to mark the borders where I'll trim later. While I'm working on this, let me tell you a little bit about the readathon. I think most of the people here are already familiar with it. It's quite popular in the reading community, but if not, I highly recommend checking out G's announcement video. The link is in the description. And if you have seen my channel before, you might know I already have a couple of videos about this readathon from earlier this year, and I'll leave those links as well. So the Magical Readathon is a D&D style roleplay readathon set in a magical world where you create your own character and send them on an adventure. Based on the choices you make for your character, you will need to read specific books that fulfill certain prompts. The main events takes place during the spring equinox in April and the autumn equinox in September at the Academy of Aurelium, where your character studies. There is also a year-long challenge called Adventure in Aeldia, where you read one book per month to complete chapters of a journey. Plus, there are side quests you can take on at any time, and in December, there will be an event called Lightfall. This is actually my first year officially participating. I joined the Adventure in Aeldia challenge at the start of the year, and I also took part in the spring equinox in April, which was a lot of fun. Now it's September, so I'm really excited to continue with the autumn equinox. In the readathon, your character can choose callings, which are like degrees or jobs. Each calling requires you to study certain subjects across semesters, and it takes 4 years to graduate from the academy with that degree. As I mentioned, this is my first year participating, but I have been following the readathon for a couple of years, and so far I'm really enjoying it. Now back to the setup. I have stuck down the washi tape and scrapbook paper as borders on all the pages, and I am ready to create the Dutch door now. For that, I'm using these special scissors which got these zigzag ends. I like using them for Dutch doors because they give a really nice effect, so that's what I'm working on here. Okay, that's done. Now let's move on to the cover page. All the logos and stickers are available in the original Google Drive provided by the host, so I printed this logo from there. I know the left side of the spread looks a little odd at the moment, but I do have a plan for that page, so it'll make sense later. For now, I'm leaving it as it is. With the cover page finished, let's move on to the spreads on the left hand side. The first thing I'm adding here is my Scholar's Key, which is basically like an ID card for your character at the academy, where you'll fill in some basic details. So my character's name is Alara Evrin. So this is my character. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll find a bigger image and more details about her there. Here I'm filling out some basic information about my character. She belongs to the House of the Arcane, which is her guild. It's similar to like a schoolhouse. Her callings, which are like degrees, are Archmage and Lexomancer. She's a novice. She's human. Her background is urban, and she comes from a place called Gerador, which is one of the continents in the magical world of Aeldia. Below that, I'm adding a template to showcase my guild's book club pick. So in addition to the subjects required for your specific calling, each guild also has a book club. As I mentioned, my guild is the House of the Arcane, and our book club pick this time is The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. Now on the right hand side, I'm listing my callings. As I mentioned before, callings are like degrees that your character is studying for. So usually a character sticks with just one calling, but I decided to go for two. So my first calling is Archmage, which is an exclusive calling for the members of House of the Arcane. And my second calling is Lexomancer, which is one of the new callings introduced this year. I was originally planning to pursue only Archmage, but when the new callings came out, Lexomancer caught my attention. It has to do with the study of multiple languages, and since that really interested me, I decided to pick it up as well. So these two are my callings, and I'm sticking them here and cutting around them to create a small interactive page, like a booklet within the journal. Moving on to the next spread, here I am pasting the syllabus for the autumn equinox. So I accidentally printed it much smaller than I intended, and that was a miscalculation from my part. But it does look really tiny on the camera, but the text is still legible. So I am just going to use it as it is. I can't reprint them right now, so we'll work with this version. Now moving on to the spread on the right hand side. This is where I'll list my TBR. The semesters in the Magical Readathon work a little differently. So in Spring Equinox, each subject has just one prompt. For example, if you're studying alchemy, you read one book for that prompt and you're done. But in Autumn Equinox, you need to achieve grades, ordinary, qualified, or distinguished. So each subject has 3 levels. And since I have 2 callings, that means I'll need to read a lot of books. There are actually ways to make it easier. You can earn guild reputation points by completing prompts and tasks and then use those points to buy scrolls, which let one book count for multiple subjects. But for now, I'm going on full TBR mode. So here are all the subjects and the grades I need to finish in this semester. The first subject is Restoration, where I need a qualified grade. That means I have to complete both ordinary and qualified prompt. So for ordinary, the prompt is to read a book with single point of view. For this, I am reading Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. For qualified, the prompt is to generate a random country and pick a book from there. So I got Vietnam, so I'll be reading The Mountains Sing by Nguyen Phan Quay Mai. I probably butchered that name, I'm really sorry about that. The next is Artificery, where I only need an ordinary grade. So the prompt is to read the 9th book I see on the social media after the Autumn Equinox announcement. So that turned out to be What You're Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama. Again, sorry for the pronunciation. The next subject is Spells and Incantations, which I need twice at qualified level since it is required for both of my callings. So for ordinary, the prompt is to roll a dice and pick a book with a certain page count based on the number. So I'll be reading The Honjin Murders by Seishi Yokomizo and Emily Wilder's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. For qualified, the prompt is to read a book released this year. So I chose Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yambao and Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. The next one is Inscription, where I need a distinguished grade for one calling and qualified grade for other. For ordinary, the prompt is to read a book with a prime number of letters in the title. So I'll be reading The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary and If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang for this one. And for qualified, the prompt is to read a book with the title printed vertically on the spine. So I picked Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty and OK Days by Jenny Mustard for this one. And for distinguished, the prompt is to read a book with an animal on the cover. For that, I chose Wayward by Emilia Hart. Finally, I have Alchemy, where I also need a distinguished grade. So for ordinary, the prompt is to read a book with the sun on the cover, and I'll be reading Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. For qualified, the prompt is to read a book with the cover in your birth flower's color. Mine is red, so I picked How to Solve Your Own Murder by Christine Perrin for this one. For distinguished, the prompt is to read an auto by author. So for that, I'll be reading They Came to Baghdad by Agatha Christie. Now that the setup is complete, let's do a final flip through. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please check out my channel for more journaling content. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.